Hello everybody, my name is Megan Rose Rahib and this is my presentation for Report 1 on Manifest Destiny, the Mexican-American War, and the Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo, and the lasting effects. The Mexican-American border is a physical boundary that is man-made and unnatural that has been created to separate Mexico and America, and it has led to the creation of borderlands, which, as Gloria Anzaldúa states, is like a third country where these people who don't truly fit in with the Americans or the Mexicans have created their own language and their own culture that is slightly different but mixes both cultures, but they can truly connect with it because they felt like they did not fit in just one. Something that really stood out to me about her quote is how she talks about the land being safe and unsafe, and how she brings up emotional residue of an unnatural boundary, which is really important because this is, as I said, a man-made boundary that is not supposed to be there. And these people have become foreigners in their own land, and there is emotion behind that. And now they don't fit in, and so they had to take it into their own hands and create this culture where they could actually identify as Chicanos and be themselves. An example of this is the language that they created called Chicano Spanish. The Mexican-American War began in 1846 over disputes of where the border was located. The United States believed that it was at the Rio Grande, and Mexico disagreed, believing that it was at the Nueces Strip. They also had disputes over Texas being independent. The United States believed in manifest destiny and that they were intended to continue expansion, and that they were more fit and superior than the Mexicans. They believed that the Mexicans were not fit to rule. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed in 1848 and ended the Mexican-American War. The United States purchased California, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Texas, Nevada, and Colorado for $15 million. The size of the United States doubled, and they gained 520 square miles. There were about 115,000 Mexicans who had been living on native land that now belongs to the United States. Many Mexicans chose to stay in what became the United States and become citizens and have their land protected, but they really had more of federal citizenship. They were citizens, but they did not have state citizenship and rights to vote politically. The whites believed that if they were able to share their political opinion, it would end in catastrophe. The whites believed that they were superior and that Mexicans were not fit to rule and that they shouldn't have a say in who would be in control in the United States. Citizenship, land rights, and broken promises. I already briefly went over some of these issues, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth. One main thing is that yes, they did have citizenship, but it was not the same as the whites. Yes, they did have some rights, but they did not have political rights, and they were not treated the same as the whites. Their culture was not accepted, and the treaty did not stand up for them the way that it was intended to. The Land Act of 1851 was passed, and this was a huge issue for Chicanos. The land that they were supposed to have protected, their native land that they have lived on for years and years, was now taken away from them if they did not have physical proof of a land grant. Many of them did not have proof of a land grant, and all of this took a lot of time and money. And so when people tried filing lawsuits, first off, many did not speak English, so they had to pay for a translator, and they had to pay for attorney fees, and they had to spend time going to the courthouse. And many of them, even if they won the case and they were like, yes, this is your land, ended up having to sell it or mortgage it because they could not afford to own it any longer because they had spent so much money trying to prove that they had legal rights to their land. crossed by the border. In this class, we have talked a lot about this, and I want to quickly go over the fact that these people are living in their homes, living in their native land, but it is now United States territory. And they are now the foreigners in their own homes, and they are facing inequality and racism, and they have been promised all these things, and the Americans have not kept their side of the promise. Reflection. The Mexican-American War ended in 1848 with the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo, which decided that the boundary between the two countries was at the Rio Grande. This physical border led to the creation of borderlands where these people truly didn't feel like they fit in with the Americans or the Mexicans. So these Chicanos created their own language, Chicano Spanish, and slightly changed their culture so they could truly identify and fit in because they felt like they didn't fit in anymore. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you guys enjoyed my presentation.